Joining me now is James Thompson. He is Democratic chairman of Kansas' 4th Congressional District. He ran in that district twice as a candidate on the Democratic side in a special election. And then in the 2018 election, he did better than any Democrat has done in 20 years there. He was a Justice Democrat, a wonderful progressive, and a strong fighter for that district. And he's run into an issue now that we want to talk about that has, I think, national implications as well. So, Jim, welcome back to the Young Turks.
Thank you, Cenk. I appreciate it. It's nice to be back.
It's great to have you back, Jim. I wish it was under better circumstances, but so since we last talked to you after your last election, you've gotten sick. So I wanted to ask you about exactly what kind of cancer you have, and then I want to talk about insurance and what you've gone through and what that says about our system. So first, tell us a little bit about what ails you.
Well, last year, towards about 6 months before the campaign was over, I started noticing I was feeling sick, just tired a lot. I just kind of wrote it off as just the stress of the campaign trail. Campaign ended, still feeling really bad, and it was just getting worse. The fatigue was kicking in. Finally, my wife told me to get off the couch and go to the doctor. Can't have me sitting around the house like I was. So I did, and they found a tumor in my liver, and with lots more testing we went through, and it turns out that I have stage 4 neuroendocrine tumors. It started in my small intestine and has metastasized into my liver. So I have numerous tumors now in my liver as well.
So that's obviously very serious. Now, Jim, you've got insurance, right?
I do. I'm lucky enough to have insurance. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas, and I'm lucky enough to have it as far as that it allowed me to go get diagnosed. The problem I'm running into is I have told you, is that there's a disconnect with the insurance company, in that if you are in network, you're fine, but if you need to go out of network, there's only 2 circumstances that they allow you to do that. One is if it's an emergency, or 2, if you can't get those services inside the state of Kansas. The kind of cancer I have is a rare cancer, very rare cancer, and there is nobody in Kansas that is a specialist that deals with this kind of cancer. Luckily, there's somebody in Denver, but my insurance company won't allow me to go to Denver to get the treatment I need because it's out of network. And so they keep referring me back to just general oncologists here, which doesn't do me any good.
So look, I need people to understand that politics is real life. So the bills that people pass or don't pass have ramifications for real people like Jim. And so if you'd made it into Congress, you could have fought for yourself and for everyone else in a situation like you. And I love that you were a great fighter in that district for that, and you still are, even if you're not running for Congress. But in this case, we always hear, Jim, from the people who are against Medicare for all, well, what if the government were to ration healthcare? What if the government had bureaucracy and made you wait for treatment or denied you treatment? But we never hear about what happens in this current cruel system. So they're telling you that even though there's a specialist in Denver that can save your life, you're not allowed to go to it. You have to go to people who don't have that specialty in Kansas because of the bureaucracy of being in network.
That's correct. And the irony of it all is that if they would allow me to go to Denver, I would be able to get the surgery that I need to remove the tumors in my intestine and my liver. That surgery cost about $250,000. That's sticker shock, obviously. But if I go to the doctor that they want me to see here, he wants me to do radiation treatments, and that's $120,000 per treatment, and I need 3 to 8. So it would actually be cheaper for insurance for me to go to Denver than it would be to stay in Kansas. But the way the system's set up, I can't do that. Although right now I am speaking with the Kansas Insurance Commission, and they're helping me and assisting me in this.
So hey, look at that. The government may be helping represent the people they're supposed to represent, and not the corporations.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So well, I'm glad to hear that at least. So Jim, for a second, let's talk about if you didn't have insurance. So
if
Yeah,
go ahead. Well, what I was going to say is, if I didn't have insurance, the cost of this would be even more devastating. Keep in mind though that I'm an attorney. I do have insurance, but this is still going to put me in bankruptcy because, unfortunately, this came about right after the election, and I basically spent my life savings trying to run for Congress. But if I didn't have insurance, I've got a monthly shot that I have to get, which is $11,400 a month just to walk in and get the shot. There's the radiation treatment that they want me to have. Like I said, it's $120,000 per episode, a $250,000 surgery. And that doesn't include the inability to work, the fatigue, the issues that come along with cancer that prevents you from being able to work. It just devastates you on every level in your life. And if you didn't have insurance, you're just sitting around waiting to die at this point, because there is no way for you to get the care that you need because of the cost of healthcare in this country.
Now, it's really stunning, and it's hard for people that are not in America to understand this. They're flabbergasted by our system. So, and since you're an attorney, you wouldn't qualify for Medicaid, right?
I will probably next year because I'm not working now. I'm going to be going on Social Security disability. Hopefully, I can qualify for some benefits through the VA, but it's possible I could end up on Medicaid. I mean, it's doubtful because my wife, I'm fortunate that my wife does work full time, but here in Kansas, we haven't expanded Medicaid, so there's still that that donut hole that you get caught in, where you get stuck between qualifying for Medicaid or being able to get subsidies. And if you fall in that gap, you just get screwed over.
Yeah, ironically, this hurts the middle class more than anybody else. And so, no, when you say if you didn't have insurance, you just have to sit around and wait to die, because nobody's got $120,000 per treatment, let alone the $11,000, let alone the $250,000 for surgery. Nobody's got that. I mean, unless you're super rich. It's like, again, people in other countries can't believe it. We just let people die, and yeah, that's the system we have. And you do have insurance, and my guess is that the copays, the premiums, and the deductibles are going to absolutely devastate your finances.
That's exactly right. January is just around the corner, so we roll over into a new year, and we're going to end up with a new policy through my wife's employer. But we're looking at about a $19,000 bill that will probably end up coming due in January to cover the out-of-network deductible, if that's the insurance policy that they get, and then a $9,000 deductible as well for in-network. So all of that's going to kick in come January. So when you start looking at the deductibles, when you start looking at the co-insurance, because a lot of times it's 80-20 until you've met your out-of-pocket maximum. There's just no way for somebody that doesn't have a lot of money to be able to afford to get sick. I mean, it's just devastating, again, on every single level that you have to deal with this, whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, whether it's with your family. It just destroys everything it touches. Cancer is just that. It's a cancer that just sucks the life out of everything it comes in contact with.
So Jim, I read your Facebook post. You got a 14-year-old daughter, and then you had, at the time that you wrote that, a 19-month-old daughter. Can people help you through Facebook, or are you not? I don't know. Are you taking that or no?
My wife and I have talked about it because at some point we may just not have any choice. Right now, I don't have anything set up. We're kind of waiting to see what January brings about, whether or not we're able to get the Kansas Insurance Commission to put us to make the insurance company allow me to go out of network, or whether we're going to have to get a different policy that will end up costing us more but allow out of network. So right now there's a lot of balls that are in the air that we're still trying to get sorted out, and I haven't sat down and done that. I've got a lot of people pushing me to do a GoFundMe account, which makes me nauseous that I get sick, and the only way I can get through this is to have a GoFundMe account, and it's embarrassing for me. It's just don't know how to deal with it. So and we're still working through all of that.
So, and Jim, I know your backstory. We've known each other a little bit now. And Jim grew up very, very poor and worked his way up. He's in a lot of ways the American dream. And successful attorney, civil rights attorney. But we'll have the link to his Facebook page down below if you're watching later on YouTube or Facebook. Just follow Jim just in case, right? And also because he's a great progressive hero. Last thing. So you've got late stage cancer right now. So sometimes we talk about it on the show and people talk about it on TV as a hypothetical. This is not hypothetical. You got it. So how long do you think it's gonna take for you to get to Denver and to get that surgery if things go right? And then finally, what if they don't? What if the commission can't help you? Then what are your options?
Well, if I can get the surgery that I need in a timely manner, then I could live for another 20 years. I could live to see my daughters walk down the aisle, see them graduate, maybe even see grandkids someday. If I don't get the care that I need, then the statistics say that I've got about a 50-50 chance of making it 5 years. If I'm not allowed to go to Denver, then I'm forced to go through radiation treatment, which has its own issues and may or may not cure me. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that if I don't get the care that I need, my lifespan is going to be significantly shorter. Definitely puts the need for Medicare and who's supporting that and who's not supporting it into my consideration when I start looking at our presidential candidates. So.
Politics is real. If you pass the bills, you help people. If you don't, we leave them in this cruel, barbaric system. We can't do this to our fellow citizens. James Thompson, I don't say it lightly. I really do think you're an American hero for all that you've done before you got sick, and for all the folks that you stood up for after you made it. And you could have chosen to be a corporate lawyer, but you were a civil rights attorney. You could have chosen an easy life, but you chose to run as an uncorrupted candidate, and now you're fighting this like you always have, as a true strong fighter. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing this powerful story. We really appreciate it.
Cenk, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great evening.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.